to the ScrapbookPal YouTube channel. My name's Michelle from Craftie, and I'm going to be creating a couple of cards for you guys today featuring the Fairy Wishes die set from Sizzix. I love working with dies, and I love anything fairy themed. So I really had a lot of fun playing around with this, and I decided to incorporate the flower filled die set from Sizzix as well. I thought I would also use a Sizzix sentiment, and I've chosen the New Beginnings stamp set, and I think I'm going to use the Celebrate. I'm going to do a daytime version and then a nighttime version of pretty much the same card. And in the nighttime, we're just going to use solid black like silhouettes. So I'm going to use T-Dye Distress Oxide ink for a skin tone. It doesn't matter if you get it on the whole thing. We're going to paper piece, so we'll just cover up those parts that aren't supposed to be skin tone. So now we're going to do the hair on this one, and I'm going to use gathered twigs and a little bit of ground espresso. Now I'm going to cut out her hair. You can see those lines it makes, almost cuts it apart for you. Just a couple of little snips to make. So I'll go ahead and cut this piece because we're going to do her dress. And then we don't have a line for the top of her dress, but I'm just going to kind of create one. I'll come up here and then just swoop down to her back. And for the dress, I want to do a combination of shaded lilac and dusty concord. And I'm going to try to hold this still with my little die release tool here so I can blend on that. And I'm going to set that aside to dry, and we'll come over that with some sparkle here in a little while. And while those dry, we'll work on our backgrounds. I'm going to do ink blending on those as well. I'm going to use a little bit of purple tape for my fingers so I don't get fingerprints on my cardstock. And for the daytime sky, I'm going to use Kitsch Flamingo, shaded lilac, and dusty concord. But I want a lot of the pink. I want my sky to be mostly pinkish. So I'm just coming in with blotchy areas. I just want sort of a blotchy, cloudy look. And I'm just going to come over with some of the other colors, and I'll go back and forth, back to the pink again, and just keep working until I get a blend that I want. And I'm going to go a little heavier with the darker purple near the bottom where it's going to be where my flowers are. And I think that's a really pretty cotton candy sort of look. We're going to let that dry off to the side while we do our nighttime sky. And for that, I'm just going to set aside the Kitsch Flamingo. I'm still going to use my shaded lilac and my dusty concord. And to darken that up, I'm going to bring in chipped sapphire for that dark blue nighttime sky. And I'm even going to bring in some black soot distress ink to go around the edges of the whole frame just to darken that in. And there is our nighttime sky. I just love it. I think that's so pretty. Don't worry about getting it just perfect. It's meant to be sort of splotchy anyway, and a lot of it's even going to be hid by the fairy and the flowers and things like that. So we're just going to let those dry. We've got a little bit more to do to them a little later on. So now I'm going to bring my fairies back in, and I'm going to go ahead and paper piece all that together. Just a little bit of art glitter glue. And I'm going to use my tweezers to help me place that just right. And now I'm going to take my Nuvo Aqua Shimmer pen and just add some sparkle to her dress. And it's water-based, so it will sort of affect the Oxide ink on the dress, but that's okay. It's just going to give it that oxidized look, and I like that. I'll try to get some photos at the end that's going to show up that sparkle a little bit better. I'm going to put a little bit of art glitter glue right here on this thickest little area there, and then just bring my fairy in and place her. Now for our silhouette fairy, I'm just going to layer up 3 solid pieces of that die cut, just so that it's got a little more weight to it and a little bit of dimension. And what I'm going to do to make sure that I assemble my fairy in the same position, because I'm going to lay that black wing right over the white one. And I want to make sure I don't get glue enough to gush out and get on that fairy underneath, because I just want to lay that there to position it the same way. And there we go. And now I want to start working on my daytime flower field, and I want to do some Copic coloring on this. I tried just ink blending in some of the different areas for sort of an abstract look so that I could use the Distress Oxides throughout the whole card, but I really preferred the look of the Copic, so I get a crisper look to my flowers. So we're going to start coloring that. Thing to do to my backgrounds now that they are dried. These are the bubble background stencils from Fawn, and I really wanted to put these on there as sort of like a bokeh effect. And I'm just going to pounce on some picket fence distress ink. Any white pigment ink you've got would work too. And I really like that. It's just ever so subtle. And now for my daytime sky, I'm going to try to put that in the same position or as close as I can get it. I think those look so good. Okay, now I'm going to use the other stencil. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and adhere my flower field. So I'm going to get some glue on the back of my nighttime silhouette. I really love the silhouette one. That looks to me like already like a little fairyland. And if you guys follow me on my channel, you know that I love fairyland. And now I'm going to try to get the same placement on my daytime flower field. Just get some glue on there. And trim that one up too. And I'm going to go ahead and trim these because I want a little bit of a border when I put them on my card base. So I'm going to trim away just 1/8 of an inch from every side so that we get a nice border of our card base showing. Okay, well that was 1/4. I wish I hadn't done that. That takes away almost all of my yellow flower here. If I balance that out with the colored one, I think I actually won't balance it because I don't want to cut away that much of it. So they'll be slightly off. So I'm going to go ahead and do my 1/8 here and here as well. I should have done that on the other one. I thought that was the 1/8 inch mark that I was on, but it was the 1/4. So they will be slightly off, but that's okay. So I'll go ahead and take the 1/4 off of the top so I don't lose any of the bottom of my flower field down there. And 1/4 off the top here. I've got some shimmery cardstock here, and I'm going to use pink for my daytime and purple for the nighttime. And again, I'm just using art glitter glue. I like the extra work time that I get with the liquid, but you can use whatever is your favorite. And I think I want my fairies to be sort of hovering like they're about to land on the flowers, but not quite landed on them yet. So now I want to try to figure out my placement for my sentiment. And I'm going to want her blowing bubbles. As you can see, she's got her hand out there. So I want to shape the word to sort of go along with that. I think I'm going to do my daytime one in white and the nighttime I want to do in a silver. I'm going to first take my anti-static powder tool to my card here just to make sure that I don't get any stray embossing powder where I don't want it, and ink that up with my Versamark clear embossing ink. And sprinkle on my white embossing powder. Now before I heat set that, I'm going to go ahead and put my embossing powder on my nighttime scene as well. And I've got some Nuvo Gemstones here that are going to be the little bubbles that she's blowing. And some little butterflies in that white glitter paper that I cut out her wings from. And that die set comes with the little butterflies. You've also got some little sparkles here and some little hearts. And I want to put one of the teeny tiny little butterflies in her hair there. So I'm just going to get everything placed, and then I can lift those up with my jewel picker here as I put the glue down. And that completes my cards, you guys. I just love them. I really love the versatility of those dies. I love working with dies, and this was one of the best sets I believe I have ever had. And I'll have links down below where you can get these sets. Also, be sure to subscribe to the ScrapbookPal YouTube channel and click the bell so you'll get notifications when new videos come up. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.